"Stop, please," she screamed, but the rancher acts recklessly, and secrets are revealed. The wind on Kestrel's reach always carried dust, like the planet was trying to sand everything down until it matched the color of the plains. The sky was wide and pale, split by two suns that never seemed to set at the same time. Most days, Elias Holt liked that. The quiet made it easy to hear his herd and easy to think. He rode a lean, six-legged ranch mount along the ridge above his grazing fields, one hand resting on the worn horn of his saddle. Below him, the grazers moved like a slow river, thick-bodied beasts with plated backs and broad mouths built for tough grass. They were not wild. They were made long ago with patient science and stubborn hope. Now they were Elias' living paycheck, his responsibility, and in a strange way, his family. He counted them out of habit, not because he expected to be short today, but because counting kept his mind sharp. On a frontier world, you did not let your mind get dull. Elias' combead clicked softly in his ear. It was the local net, nothing fancy, a few ranchers and a small settlement called Pinemark that sat 2 hours away by ground skimmer. The messages were mostly boring. Weather updates, fence repairs, someone complaining about a broken pump. Elias heard his own breathing and the low hum of insects. His mount snorted, a grazer bellowed in the distance. Normal sounds. Then the sky screamed. It was not a human scream. It was not even a sound a throat should make. It was a tearing shriek, sharp and high, like metal ripping and lightning cracking at the same time. Elias froze. His mount jerked its head up, ears twisting. Elias looked toward the eastern horizon. A bright line cut across the sky, white-hot and angry, trailing smoke and sparks. It moved too fast to be a meteor. It wobbled, lost control, and then came apart in pieces. One larger piece spun, glowing, and dropped toward the plains near Elias' lower fields. He did not think. He turned his mount and kicked hard. As he rode down the ridge, the ground trembled. A second later, a deep boom rolled across the land. A shockwave pushed the dust up in a wave. The grazers startled and began to spread, their heavy bodies stamping and grunting. Elias leaned forward, urging his mount faster. "Easy," he muttered, though he was not sure if he meant it for the mount or for himself. The crash site was in the low basin where the grass grew thick. Elias could already smell burned air, sharp and bitter like melted plastic and hot stone. When he crested the last small hill, he saw it. A ship, or what was left of one. It was not any model he had seen in the local traders' catalogs. Its shape was too smooth, like a black pebble that had been carved by water for centuries. Now it was split open like an egg smashed on rock. Pieces of it lay scattered across the field. Some parts still glowed faintly, cooling in the dust. Elias slowed his mount. His eyes scanned the area. No other people, no local marks, no settlement skimmer tracks, just his grass, his dust, and something that did not belong. He slid down from the saddle and left the mount tied to a fence post. The herd was spread wide now, nervous, but still within the old boundary lines. He could deal with them later. Right now, a ship had fallen into his land. He approached carefully, boots crunching on burned soil. The wreck made small clicking sounds like cooling metal settling. A broken panel sparked and died. Inside it was dark, but he saw movement. A shape shifted near the open split in the hull, then a figure stumbled out, half crawling, half falling into the grass. Elias stopped short. She was not human. Her skin was a pale shade that shifted between gray and faint blue depending on how the light hit it. Her eyes were large, dark, and glossy, like polished stones. Her clothing was torn and one sleeve was burned away. A thin line of bright, almost silver-colored blood ran down her forearm. She looked up at Elias, and the fear on her face was so raw it felt like heat. "Stop, please," she cried out in a broken, strained voice. The words were not clear, but the meaning was. She scrambled backward, hands shaking, as if she expected him to hurt her. Elias raised both hands slowly, palms open. He kept his voice low and steady. "Hey," he said. "No, I'm not going to hurt you." The alien woman stared at him like he was a cliff edge. She looked behind him, then back at him, then behind him again. Her breathing was fast. She pressed herself against the grass, trying to make herself smaller. Elias took one slow step back to give her space. "I'm Elias," he said, pointing at himself. "Elias, rancher, local." Not military. Her eyes flicked to the fence line, to the distant herd, to the ridge where his home sat far away like a dot. Then she looked at the sky. Elias followed her gaze. At first he saw nothing but clouds and sunlight. Then he noticed it, small dark points moving high above, too smooth to be birds. Drones, patrol units. They were far, but their pattern was wrong for weather monitors and wrong for local mapping. Elias felt cold settle in his stomach. The alien woman's voice rose again, thin with panic. "Stop, please, don't." She reached toward him, not to attack, but like a drowning person reaching for anything solid. Her hand hovered and then dropped, trembling. Elias glanced at the drones again. He had no love for trouble, but trouble had a way of finding people on the edge of the map. Most times you could duck it. This time he wasn't sure. He crouched slowly, keeping his hands visible. "Listen," he said. "I don't know who you are, but those things up there, they're not here for friendly talk, are they?" She swallowed hard. Her throat worked like the words were stuck. She spoke quickly, and the language changed, sharp, clipped sounds that meant nothing to Elias. Then she stopped and tried again in broken trade common. "Hunters," she said. "They take, they erase." "Erase," Elias repeated, and the word tasted wrong. The drones grew larger, descending slightly. Elias could now hear a faint hum like distant insects. He looked at the alien woman. She was hurt, terrified, and alone. And if she was telling the truth, something dangerous had followed her right to his field. He made a decision before he could fully think it through. "All right," he said. "Get up, can you walk?" She hesitated, still afraid, but the sound of the drones forced her hand. She pushed herself to her feet, swaying. Elias did not touch her. He only pointed toward the fence line. "This way," he said. "If you fall, tell me." "I'll help, but I'm not going to grab you without warning." Her eyes flicked to his hands, then to his face. Slowly, she nodded. They moved through the tall grass, away from the wreck. Elias kept his body between her and the open field, though he knew that would not stop a drone. Still, it made him feel like he was doing something. Halfway to the fence line, the calm beat in his ear crackled. "Elias?" It was Mara Din, the settlement's dispatcher. Her voice was tense. "You seeing anything strange out your way?" Elias looked up again. The drones were closer now, and behind them, far higher, he thought he saw the glint of something big, something in orbit catching sunlight. He kept his voice calm. "Define strange." "Skywatch picked up an entry burn," Mara said. "Not ours, not traders, not anything filed." "There's chatter in the relay bands, like someone scanning the whole district." Elias' throat went dry. "Yeah," he said. "Something came down in my lower field." "What kind of something?" Mara asked. Elias glanced at the alien woman. She flinched at the sound of the comm as if voices were a threat. She looked like she might run. Elias lowered his voice. "Not human." There was a pause on the line, a heavy silence that seemed to swallow the wind. "Elias," Mara said carefully, "the council will want you to report that." Elias watched the drones drift, searching. Their lenses caught the light, bright and glassy. "They're already looking," he said, "and I don't think they're here for paperwork." Mara inhaled. "Do you need help?" Elias almost laughed, but no sound came out. Help from Pinemark meant 2 ground skimmers and maybe a few people with old rifles. Against whatever was in the sky, that was not help. That was a funeral. "I need you to keep people inside," Elias said. "Lock doors, shut down lights if you can. If these drones move toward town, don't run into the street like idiots." Mara's voice sharpened. "Elias, what did you do?" He hesitated. The alien woman stood beside him now, trembling, watching the drones. Her fingers pressed against her wounded arm. Her breathing was ragged. Elias made another choice. "I'm handling it," he said. "Handling it how?" Mara demanded. Elias took the comm bead out of his ear and shut it off. It felt rude, but it was safer. If the drones could listen, he didn't want them to. He slipped the bead into his pocket and kept moving. They reached the fence line, a rough barrier made from metal posts and braided wire. Beyond it lay a shallow gully where the land dipped before rising again toward Elias' main ranch path. The gully was a good place to hide, at least from eyes at a distance. Elias pointed. "Down there," he said. The alien woman climbed carefully, wincing when her foot slipped. Elias held the fence wire steady but did not touch her. Once she was through, he followed. The gully smelled of damp soil and old grass. He led her along its curve, using the higher banks to shield them. Above, the drones hovered over the wreck, circling like patient predators. Elias' mind raced. He knew the basics of galactic politics like every frontier worker did. Humans were small in the wider map. They were settlers. They grew food, mined rock, and tried not to annoy anyone big. The big powers argued and fought far away. Out here, the rules were simple. Keep your head down and survive. But now there was an alien in his gully, and drones were scanning his land. He reached a narrow cut in the gully wall where a fallen slab of rock created a shadowy space. He used it as a storm shelter sometimes. He waved her in. She hesitated at the dark, then went inside anyway. Elias followed and crouched near the opening. From here, he could see the field through a gap in the rocks. The drones moved like they had a plan. One dropped lower, and a beam of light swept the ground near the wreck. The alien woman pressed her back against the rock, trying to be silent. Her eyes stayed on Elias' face, as if she was waiting for him to become something else. Elias kept his voice soft. "I'm going to ask you something," he said, "and I need you to answer as best you can. Why are they hunting you?" Her lips parted. She looked like she was fighting panic. Then she reached into the torn side of her clothing and pulled out a small object. It was a flat disc, no bigger than Elias' palm, with faint lines across its surface. She held it out with both hands as if offering something sacred. "Proof," she whispered. "Truth." Elias did not take it yet. "Truth of what?" Her eyes shimmered. "They lie," she said. "They decide who lives, who disappears. Quiet, no war, no news, just gone." Elias felt a chill. "Who decides?" She swallowed. "Council of 9, she said, struggling for words. "Big powers, trade, law, peace, they choose expendable." "Expendable," Elias repeated. She nodded quickly, tears gathering at the corner of her eyes. "Species, colonies, people, if inconvenient." Elias' hand tightened on the rock. "And you have proof of this on that disc." She nodded again. "Names, orders, human name too." Elias went very still. He stared at her, and for a moment he could not hear the wind. "Human name," he repeated quietly. She pointed up toward the sky, toward the drones. "They find me, they take disc, they erase me, and any who help." Elias looked back through the gap. One drone moved away from the wreck and drifted lower along the gully line, slow and searching like it was tasting the air. Elias' heart beat harder. He had wanted a quiet life. He had worked for it. He had built fences, repaired pumps, healed sick grazers, paid taxes, and kept his head down. He had done everything frontier people were told to do. And now the universe had dropped a secret into his grass. The alien woman's voice broke. "Stop, please," she whispered again, but this time it was different. It was not a plea for him to stop advancing. It was a plea to stop what was coming, like she was asking the planet itself to pause. Elias finally reached out and took the disc from her hands. It was cool, heavier than it looked, and it hummed faintly like a sleeping machine. He slipped it into his jacket pocket. "All right," he said, and his voice surprised him with how steady it sounded. "Here, what we're going to do. We're going to get you to my place. It's not far, but we can't cross open ground with those things above." Her eyes widened. "They see heat," she warned. "They see breath." "Then we don't give them what they want," Elias said. He pulled a small canister from his belt, a rancher's dust smoke flare used to guide herd movement in high wind. He also had an old mirror tag and a coil of wire, tools, not weapons. But on the frontier, tools were half the battle. He glanced toward the herd in the distance. The grazers were still nervous, clustered, watching the sky as if they could feel danger. An idea formed in Elias' mind, reckless and fast. He looked at the alien woman. "Can you move without falling over?" She nodded, though she looked pale. "Good," Elias said. "Because if we're going to survive this, we're going to do what humans do best." She stared at him, confused. Elias peeked out again. The searching drone was closer now, hovering just above the gully line. Its lens rotated, scanning. Elias took a slow breath. "We're going to make a mess," he said. The drone shifted, and its beam swept across the grass near their hiding spot. Elias waited until the beam moved away, then he leaned close to the alien woman and whispered, "When I say run, you run. Stay low. Follow my steps. Don't scream unless you have to." Her throat worked. She nodded. Elias gripped the smoke canister. Above them, the drone hovered, patient and precise, as if it already knew they were there and was simply deciding the best way to take them. Elias set his jaw, counted to 3 in his head, and prepared to move. Because on Kestrel's reach, the quiet never lasted, Elias threw the smoke canister with all his strength. It bounced once on the dry ground, then burst open with a loud pop. Thick brown-gray dust poured into the air, spreading fast like a living thing. The wind grabbed it and pulled it across the gully, up into the open field. The drone's beam cut through the smoke, but it scattered and bent, losing its sharp line. The machine tilted, confused, its smooth movements turning rough and uncertain. "Now," Elias whispered. He moved first, climbing out of the gully and running low through the grass. The alien woman followed, her steps lighter, faster than he expected despite her injury. They moved in short bursts, stopping when the smoke thinned, moving again when the wind pushed another cloud over them. Behind them, the drone let out a sharp, rising hum. Its beam snapped back and forth, searching. Elias did not look back. He focused on the fence posts ahead, on the dark line of the ranch path beyond them. His lungs burned, but he kept going. They reached the fence. Elias grabbed the wire and pulled it down hard, making a low gap. The alien woman slid through first, then Elias followed, rolling in the dirt on the other side. They lay still for a moment, listening. The drone passed overhead, close enough that Elias felt the air move. The hum faded as it drifted away, drawn back toward the crash site and the heavy smoke cloud still spreading there. Elias exhaled slowly. "Good," he muttered. "That bought us a little time." They got up and moved along the ranch path, keeping to the shadows of low rock ridges and tall grass patches. The path wound gently uphill toward Elias' home. From a distance, it looked like a simple building, metal walls, a wide roof, solar panels along the top. Nothing special. Nothing worth noticing, but Elias knew what lay beneath it. The alien woman walked close to him now, her eyes scanning every sound, every movement. Her hand stayed near her wounded arm. The silver-colored blood had dried, leaving a dark, shiny streak. Elias slowed. "You need to rest for a second," he said. She shook her head. "No, they follow." "They will," Elias agreed, "but if you fall over, we're both done." He guided her to a flat rock under the shadow of a broken stone arch. He pulled a small med kit from his belt. It was basic bandages, seal spray, pain tabs, but it was what he had. He held it up. "I'm going to help your arm." She hesitated, then nodded. Elias worked carefully. He sprayed the sealant over the wound. It hissed and hardened into a clear layer. The alien woman flinched but did not cry out. Elias wrapped a bandage over it, tying it gently. "There," he said. "Not perfect, but it'll hold." She looked at his hands, then at his face. "Why?" she asked. Elias blinked. "Why what? Why help?" she said. "You risk everything." Elias thought for a moment. The answer that came out was simple. "Because you're here," he said, "and because running away won't make this go away." She studied him like she was trying to understand a strange animal. They moved again. As they climbed, Elias felt a low vibration under his boots. It was faint, easy to miss, but he noticed. He always did. The ground here was not just rock and dirt. There were old bones under it, metal bones, deep and quiet. They reached the ranch house. Elias opened the door and guided her inside. The place smelled of oil, dust, and cooked grain, simple furniture, a long table, a window that looked out over the plains. He locked the door and pulled a metal bar down across it. "Stay here," he said. "Don't touch anything." She nodded and stood near the wall, still as a shadow. Elias crossed the room to a large floor panel near the back. It looked like part of the old foundation. He knelt and pressed his palm against it. Nothing happened. He frowned and tried again, this time pressing in a pattern, 3 short, 2 long, 1 short. The panel hummed softly. A thin line of light appeared around its edge. The alien woman's eyes widened. The panel slid aside, revealing a dark opening and a metal ladder leading down into the ground. Elias grabbed a lantern and turned it on. A soft yellow light filled the space. "Welcome to my basement," he said. They climbed down. The air changed as they descended. It grew cooler, cleaner. The smell of dust and grass faded, replaced by something sharper like old metal and fresh wind. At the bottom, the ladder opened into a wide tunnel. The walls were smooth, not carved by hand, not natural. Faint lights ran along the ceiling, waking up one by one as Elias stepped forward. The alien woman stared. "This not simple ranch," she said. Elias gave a small, tired smile. "No," he said, "it's not." They walked deeper. The tunnel opened into a large chamber filled with old machines. Tall frames stood like sleeping giants. Screens lined the walls, dark and silent. The alien woman walked slowly, her hand trailing along a metal surface. "Human make this?" "Long ago," Elias said. "Before my people decided to live small." "Why hide?" she asked. Elias did not answer right away. He stopped near a central console. He placed his hand on it, just like he had with the floor panel. The console lit up. Soft blue light filled the room. Screens flickered to life, showing maps, stars, and lines of text in human script. Elias exhaled. "We didn't like what the galaxy was becoming," he said. "Too many wars, too many necessary losses. So we stepped back. We put our big toys away. We built places like this underworlds no one cared about." The alien woman looked at the screens, at the star maps. Her voice was quiet. "You could stop them." Elias nodded. "We could," he said, "but we promised ourselves we wouldn't be the ones deciding who gets erased." A distant tremor rolled through the ground. Elias looked up. "They're closer," he said. The alien woman pulled the disc from her pocket and held it out again. "This shows they already decide," she said. "They choose humans too." Elias took the disc and walked to the console. He placed it in a small slot that opened on its surface. The console pulsed. Lines of light raced across the screens. Data flowed, fast and dense. Elias watched, his jaw tightening. Names appeared, coordinates, orders. Clean, simple language that described the quiet removal of entire settlements, entire species. One file glowed on the main screen. Kestrel's Reach. Pinemark Settlement. Population 312. Status, pending review. Elias felt something heavy settle in his chest. The alien woman stepped closer. "They come for you," she said softly. Another tremor shook the chamber. Dust fell from the ceiling. Elias straightened. "Not today," he said. He moved across the room, opening a tall metal cabinet. Inside were tools that did not look like tools. Sleek, compact devices rested in slots, each one marked with faded human symbols. He picked one up. It fit his hand like it belonged there. The alien woman watched. "You wake them," she said. Elias nodded. "Yeah," he said. "I think I am." Above them, something heavy hit the ground. They both froze. A loud, deep sound echoed down the tunnel, metal on stone. Then another, then another. "They land," the alien woman whispered. Elias tapped the console. A section of the screen shifted to show the surface. The image was grainy but clear enough. 3 tall shapes stood near the ranch house. Not drones, not ships. Soldiers. They were twice as tall as Elias, wrapped in dark armor that bent the light around them. Their helmets were smooth, with no faces, just narrow glowing lines where eyes should be. One of them raised a device and pointed it at the house. The door above exploded inward, metal tearing like paper. Elias swore under his breath. "They don't waste time," he said. He moved back to the console and pressed a different set of controls. The lights in the chamber brightened. A low hum filled the air, deeper than before. Far away, something answered. The alien woman grabbed his arm. "If you do this, no going back," she said. Elias met her eyes. "I know." The ground shook again, stronger. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed down the ladder shaft. The console chimed. A voice spoke, calm and clear. "System online, warden access confirmed, state intent." Elias took a breath. "Protect this settlement," he said. "And anyone under my roof." The voice paused for half a second. "Intent accepted," it said. The chamber walls shifted. Hidden panels slid open, revealing more machines, more lights, more sleeping giants waking up. Above, the footsteps stopped. A shadow fell over the top of the ladder. The alien woman backed away, fear on her face. Elias stepped forward, lifting the device he had taken from the cabinet. It hummed softly, a low, steady sound that felt like a promise. A metallic voice echoed down from above, cold and flat. "By order of the Council of Nine, surrender the courier and all related data." Elias looked up at the dark shape blocking the light. "No," he said simply. The air changed. Somewhere deep under the ground, something old and powerful finished waking up. Elias tightened his grip. He was a rancher. He was a warden. The shadow at the top of the ladder did not move. Elias could hear his own breathing inside the quiet hum of the underground systems. The alien woman stood behind him, pressed close to the wall, her eyes wide and shining in the blue light. The voice from above spoke again, slow and careful, like it was talking to a child. "You are a local civilian. You are not authorized to interfere. Step aside." Elias lifted the device in his hand a little higher. It was smooth, warm now, like it was alive in some small way. "I don't care about your rules," he said. "This is my land. This is my home." The soldier at the top of the ladder leaned forward. Its glowing eye lines narrowed. "You will be removed," it said. It started down the ladder. Elias pressed the trigger. The device did not fire a beam or make a loud sound. Instead, the air itself seemed to fold. A soft pulse rolled upward, invisible but heavy, like a wave of pressure. The soldier was hit mid-step. Its armor cracked with a sound like breaking ice. The metal split along glowing lines, and the tall shape slammed backward, flying out of sight. A loud crash followed as it hit the ground above. The alien woman gasped. Elias stared at the device in his hand. He had known, in theory, what it could do, but seeing it happen was different. The power was real. It was here. Another shadow appeared at the top of the ladder. This one did not speak. It dropped down fast. Elias stepped forward, aiming again. He fired. The pulse hit the soldier in the chest. This time, the armor did not just crack. It folded in on itself like it had been crushed by a giant invisible hand. The body hit the wall and slid down, landing hard at the bottom of the ladder. It did not move. The alien woman covered her mouth with her hand. Elias lowered the device slowly. He did not feel proud. He did not feel strong. He felt heavy. A third soldier appeared at the top, but this one did not climb down. It backed away instead. Elias looked up, waiting. The console chimed. "Surface threat retreating," the system voice said. "Multiple aerial units repositioning." Elias turned to the main screen. The image showed the drones pulling back, rising higher into the sky. Far above them, the shape of a large ship shifted in orbit, its outline growing clearer. "They're calling for backup," the alien woman said quietly. Elias nodded. "Yeah, that's what I'd do." He walked back to the console and placed the device in a slot. The machine accepted it, and the hum in the chamber deepened. "What happens now?" the alien woman asked. Elias looked at the star maps. He looked at the glowing mark over Kestrel's reach. "Now," he said, "we stop hiding." The system voice spoke again. "Warden, long-range systems available, authorization required." Elias hesitated. He thought about his herd out on the plains, about Pine Mark with its small streets and low buildings. About Myra probably still sitting at her console, wondering if he was alive. He thought about all the names on the screen, all the places marked as inconvenient. He made a choice. "Authorize," he said. The chamber shook, not violently, but like something deep and massive had shifted. Far under the ground, machines that had slept for centuries began to move. The alien woman felt it too. She steadied herself against a metal frame. "You wake whole world," she said. Elias gave a small, tight smile. "Good." A new screen opened. It showed the space around the planet, zoomed out far enough to see more than just the drones and the large ship. Small lights began to appear, one by one, then more. "What are those?" the alien woman asked. Elias stared. "Those," he said, "are us." From hidden points across the planet, signals rose into the sky. Old transmitters, buried deep in rock and dust, came online. Their messages jumped from Kestrel's reach to the nearest systems, and from there to the wider network of human worlds that pretended to be small and weak. The galaxy felt it, like a ripple in still water. The large ship in orbit shifted again. Its surface lit up with new patterns, weapons powering. The system voice spoke. "Incoming transmission." A face appeared on the screen, not human, tall, narrow features, skin like polished stone, eyes cold and sharp. "Human," the figure said. "You are making a serious mistake." Elias crossed his arms. "Funny," he said. "That's what I was thinking about you." The figure's eyes flicked to the data streams running behind Elias. "You are in possession of classified council material. Return it, and this ends." "You marked my town for erasure," Elias said. "You think this ends?" The figure's mouth tightened. "Your species chose irrelevance. You stepped out of galactic affairs. That choice does not protect you from consequences." Elias leaned closer to the screen. "We stepped back because we didn't want to become like you." The alien woman moved closer, standing beside him. She looked at the figure on the screen, her fear turning into something harder. "You kill in silence," she said. "You hide behind words." The figure's eyes narrowed. "Courier," it said, "you have caused enough damage." Elias cut in. "No," he said, "you have." He tapped the console. A new window opened, showing the disk's contents. Names, orders, evidence. "This goes public," Elias said. "Every system, every world, every species that still thinks you're the good guys." The figure went still. "You would destabilize the entire balance of the galaxy," it said. Elias shrugged. "Maybe the balance needs a push." The transmission cut off. The system voice chimed. "Hostile fleet repositioning. Estimated arrival 20 minutes. The alien woman looked at Elias. "You cannot fight a fleet," she said. Elias nodded. "Not alone." The screen shifted again. Lights filled the space around the planet. Shapes emerged from nothing, ships sliding out of hidden positions, out of folded space, out of the dark between stars. They were not sleek like the Council's ships. They were solid, heavy, built like tools, not decorations, human ships. The alien woman stared. "You said you were small," she whispered. Elias watched the growing fleet. "We said we were quiet," he said. "There's a difference." A new transmission request appeared. Elias accepted it. This time the face on the screen was human, a woman with short gray hair and tired eyes. She wore a simple uniform with no flashy marks. "Warden Holt," she said. "This is Admiral Reyes. We received your signal." Elias swallowed, didn't think anyone would still be listening. Reyes gave a thin smile. We always listen, we just don't always answer. Her eyes flicked to the alien woman. I see you've brought a guest. She brought trouble, Elia said. And the truth, Reyes nodded. We've seen the data, all of it. Her face hardened. The council crossed a line, she said. Again, Elias exhaled. So what happens now? Reyes looked back at the fleet forming behind her on the screen. Now, she said, we remind them why we stepped away in the first place. The system voice interrupted. Hostile fleet entering weapons range. The alien woman grabbed Elias' arm. If they fire, everything burns, she said. Elias met her eyes. Not if we move first. He turned to the console. Open broadcast channel, he said. Channel open, the system replied. Elias leaned forward, his face appearing on screens across the space around the planet, across the council's ships, across the human fleet, across any system close enough to listen. He did not prepare a speech. He did not use big words. My name is Elias Holt, he said. I'm a rancher on a world most of you have never heard of. I grow food, I fix fences, I take care of my neighbors. He paused. Today I found out some of you think you get to decide who matters, who stays, who disappears. He held up the disc. This says you're wrong. The data streamed out, spreading across the network like a storm. I don't want a war, Elias said. I don't want to run the galaxy, I just want to live my life. His voice hardened. But if you come for my people, my home, or anyone who can't fight back, I won't be quiet about it. Behind him, the human fleet moved into formation. The council's ships hesitated. The alien woman watched the screens, her breath coming fast. You change everything, she said. Elias shook his head. No, he said. I just turned the lights on. A council ship fired. A bright line of energy cut through space, aimed at one of the human ships. The human ship did not dodge. It absorbed the hit, its shields flaring bright, then returned fire. The council ship vanished in a flash of white. The battle began. Space lit up with moving light and silent explosions. The human ships moved with calm precision, covering each other, advancing in steady lines. The council fleet tried to scatter, tried to regroup, but the humans were already there, already blocking paths, already cutting off escape. The alien woman sank to her knees. They are losing, she whispered. Elias watched the screen. He did not cheer. They chose this, he said. Minutes passed like hours. One by one, the council ships powered down or fled. The last hostile signal faded. The system voice spoke. Surface threat neutralized, orbital space secure. The chamber grew quiet again, except for the low hum of the machines. The alien woman looked up at Elias. What happens to me now? She asked. Elias thought for a moment. You go somewhere safe, he said. Somewhere with people who don't erase others for convenience. She stood slowly. And you? Elias glanced at the screen showing Kestrel's reach, peaceful and small beneath the stars. I go back to my herd, he said. Someone has to make sure they don't wander off. A new transmission came through. Admiral Reyes appeared again. Warden Holt, she said, the galaxy just heard your message. Elias nodded. Good. Reyes' expression softened. You did more than protect your town today, she said. You reminded a lot of people what humans stand for. Elias rubbed the back of his neck. I just didn't want anyone to get erased. Reyes smiled. Sometimes, she said, that's how history starts. The screens dimmed slightly. The machines in the chamber began to settle, returning to a quieter state, though they were no longer truly asleep. The alien woman stepped closer to Elias. My name is Saris, she said. I did not say before. Elias nodded. Elias, he said again, like it mattered now. They stood there together under a ranch house on a quiet world that had just shaken the stars. Above them, the wind carried dust across the plains. The herd moved slowly, unaware that the galaxy had changed. Elias felt the vibration through the floor, soft at first, then growing stronger. The underground machines had settled, but the power they carried was still alive, humming beneath his feet like a heartbeat. He looked at Saris, who stood nearby, hands clenched, trying to make sense of everything she had just seen. The galaxy had just changed, and she was struggling to understand what humans were capable of. Elias pushed the thoughts aside. The battle above had only been the beginning. The council would not give up easily. They would regroup, rethink, and send more ships. But Elias knew something they did not. Humans were not what the galaxy thought they were. Humans were stubborn, clever, and resilient. They could fight in ways no one else expected. He walked to the main console and pulled up a three-dimensional map of the surrounding star systems. Each dot represented a human settlement, quiet, hidden, and outwardly small. But connected by old, long-range communication and defensive networks, they were a force the Council had underestimated. "They're not ready for this," Elias said, almost to himself. "They think humans stepped back. They think we're weak. They're wrong." Sarah stepped closer. "What do you mean?" Elias tapped the screen. "Every system with humans has old defense grids, ships, weapons, surveillance, all hidden. Most civilizations think we don't exist. We do. We just pretend not to." Her eyes widened. "You've been hiding all of this. Why?" "Because we choose to," Elias said. "Because we didn't want to be like them, silent killers who decide who lives and dies." He leaned back against the console, thinking. "But today they forced our hand." Sarah swallowed. "So what now? You're going to fight them, all of them?" Elias smiled faintly. "Not all. Just the ones who think they can erase us or anyone else for convenience. The rest will see what happens if they push humans too far." He moved toward the storage cabinet and pulled out more devices, small, compact, each designed to control old automated systems scattered across Kestrel's reach. He handed one to Saris. "If they come back, use this. Don't panic, just follow instructions." "Humans survive by thinking faster than others expect." Saris hesitated. "I don't know if I can." "You can," Elias interrupted. "You survived the crash, the drones, and came here alive. That already proves you can handle it." They worked quickly together, connecting devices to the central console. The hum in the chamber grew louder, the lights flickering with a pulse like the rhythm of a heart. Outside, the wind shifted, carrying the faint smell of burned metal from the wreck. Elias could sense the threat still circling above, hidden just beyond the horizon. "Let's check the perimeter," he said. "I want eyes on the ground and in the air." They climbed back up to the surface through the ladder. The sun had moved slightly, casting long shadows across the plains. The ranch looked untouched at first, but Elias could see the marks of the drones in the dust, their paths etched like delicate lines. He felt a surge of pride. Humans left traces, but they could cover them just as well. He scanned the sky with a small optical device, noting the positions of hidden sensors and satellites still in orbit. "They'll try again," he said. "But not today. Today we plan." Saris followed quiet, absorbing everything. "You fought without a fleet before?" she asked. Elias shook his head. "I've fought a lot of things, but this is different, but humans always find a way." He led her back into the ranch house. "Sit here, watch the screens." "Learn," Saris hesitated, then sat in front of the main console. Elias handed her a small data pad and guided her hands. "These are automated commands. They're simple. Press this, then that. Humans survive because we're simple when we need to be. Don't overthink it." She nodded, still unsure, but willing to try. Elias moved behind her, watching the live feed from hidden sensors across the ranch and the surrounding terrain. Every movement above ground, every shadow, every ripple in the dust was tracked. Humans turned observation into survival. Minutes passed, then a blip appeared on the sensor map. Distant, moving fast, Elias squinted. "They're coming back, smaller group, fast approach." Saris looked up. "Do we run?" Elias shook his head. "No, we meet them on our terms." He activated a small drone from the storage cabinet. It hovered quietly, scanning the horizon. The image feed showed a small group of council soldiers moving across the plains, armored and dangerous. Elias studied their movement. They were skilled but predictable. Humans excelled at turning predictability into weakness. "Here's what we do," he said. "We guide them, make them think they're chasing prey, but they're running straight into a trap." Saris's hands trembled slightly as she worked the controls. Elias didn't flinch. This was how humans operated, calmly, deliberately, even in danger. The first soldiers reached the edge of the ranch field. They paused, scanning. Then they moved again. Elias triggered the first device. A low, pulsating field rose from the ground, barely visible, bending the dust around it. The soldiers stumbled, their sensors flickering. "They won't understand," Elias said. "Humans rarely fight like anyone expects." The soldiers adjusted quickly, but Elias had already triggered the next device. Small automated turrets emerged from concealed shafts, targeting their movement patterns with precision. Energy pulses stopped short of lethal, enough to disorient and block. Saris's eyes went wide. "You're controlling all of this?" Elias nodded. "All of it, every hidden line, every old machine. Humans planned for things others forgot to expect." The soldiers regrouped, trying to find a way forward. Elias pressed a series of commands. Holographic decoys appeared, mimicking humans running across the plains. Dust clouds kicked up, shadows shifted. The soldiers were chasing ghosts. They'll adapt, Sarah said. Not fast enough, Elias replied. He activated a final command. Hidden net traps rose, small energy grids that captured movement without harming. The soldiers were immobilized, caught in the surprise. The dust settled. The air was quiet again. Elias exhaled slowly. First wave neutralized. Saris turned to him. This, humans are not what the galaxy thinks. Elias smiled faintly. They never have been, that's why we survived. He moved toward the sensor console and activated a long-range scan. Beyond the immediate threat, distant council ships had detected the disturbance. More forces were coming. The battle was far from over. We can't hold forever, Sarah said. Even with all of this. Elias' eyes hardened. We don't have to hold forever, we just have to show them humans aren't weak. We make them hesitate. Every second counts. The sensors beeped again. A council drone appeared on the horizon, faster and larger than before. Elias activated another hidden weapon, a net of automated drones that swarmed to intercept. They collided with the incoming drone, tearing it apart before it could reach the ranch. Saris's hand flew to her mouth. You planned for this too? Elias shrugged. Humans survive because we expect what others don't. This ranch, it's more than it looks like. Every tool, every machine, every hidden system was built for survival, and today it's proving its worth. He paused, watching the horizon. The council would not give up. They never did. But Elias knew that humans were stubborn beyond measure, stubborn enough to fight back when the galaxy thought they would run. Saris moved closer. What now? Elias glanced at her, then at the sensor feed. Now we prepare, we send the message. Humans don't just survive, we resist, we protect our own. And if the galaxy wants to test that, we show them why humans are dangerous when pushed too far. Saris nodded slowly, understanding dawning. She had seen it today. Humans were not weak, not quiet, not irrelevant. They were clever, resourceful, and relentless. And Elias Holt, a simple rancher on a forgotten world, was proof. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the plains. The herd moved slowly, grazing, unaware of the power awakened beneath them. Elias looked at Saris. Tomorrow, he said, we start sending the message. Today was just the warning. She looked at him, hope and fear mingled in her eyes. Humans, you are not like anyone I've met. Elias' gaze swept across the horizon where distant ships would soon arrive. No, he said, we are not. He turned back to the control console, fingers flying across the interface. The underground systems hummed louder, lights blinking in steady pulses. Every hidden machine, every secret weapon, every dormant guardian was ready. The council thought they were in control. They were about to learn that humans never truly were. And this time, Elias Holt would make sure the galaxy remembered. The stars above Kestrel's reach shone brighter in the evening sky, reflecting off metal and dust. The world was small, but humans had just shown that even a small world could hold a force strong enough to shake the galaxy. Elias stood tall, device in hand, as the first signals of the next wave approached. This was only the beginning. Humans were ready. The stars above Kestrel's reach burned brighter as if they had been waiting for this moment. The wind carried dust across the plains, rustling the grass and tossing shadows that moved like ghosts over the ground. Elias Holt stood at the edge of his ranch, his fingers resting on the device that had changed everything. Beside him, Saris adjusted her stance, still amazed at what humans could do when cornered. The battle had not yet ended, but the warning had been sent and the galaxy had heard it. Elias took a deep breath and looked at the horizon. Distant lights moved in orbit. The council forces had retreated for now, but they were regrouping. More ships would come, larger ships. Faster ships, but Elias was no longer just a rancher. He was a warden of the hidden human systems, the keeper of defenses buried for centuries under the surface of the worlds the galaxy had forgotten. He turned to Saris. We need to prepare. They'll send everything they have next time, but we're not hiding anymore. They'll learn what humans do when they push too far. Saris nodded, her eyes scanning the plains and the sky. Your species, you fight differently than anyone else. You don't just attack. You think you plan, you survive. Elias allowed a small smile. That's what humans do. We adapt, we endure, we protect each other. That's why we're still here. He moved back inside the ranch house where the underground chamber pulsed with life. The lights of the machines created a web of illumination across the walls. Each device, turret, and sensor connected to the console, ready to respond at his command. The hum of the systems was no longer just a sound, it was a statement. Humans were awake and they would not be silent again. Elias activated the long-range communications array. Hidden signals shot across space, reaching settlements and human outposts long thought to be abandoned. One by one, replies came in. Humans had not forgotten the old ways. They had been watching, waiting, and now they responded. Their fleets, long dormant, began to stir. Ships emerged from concealed orbits, sliding from shadows in space, powerful and precise, built for survival and efficiency rather than show. The Council would soon discover that the humans they had underestimated were no longer quiet settlers. Saris watched the screens, absorbing the flood of activity. "You're organizing them?" she asked, astonished. Elias nodded. "I'm coordinating the human response. We protect our own, we defend what matters, that's all, no conquest, no greed, just survival and justice." She glanced at the disk in his jacket pocket, the disk that had started all of this. "And this truth, it changed everything." "It did," Elias said. "Because it proved the galaxy is not untouchable. Secrets can be revealed. Lies can be exposed. And sometimes one small world with one determined species can change the outcome of many others." The underground system pulsed louder as new fleets of drones and hidden guardians activated. Elias ran his fingers across the control panel, sending instructions to coordinate orbital defenses and ground sensors. Every movement was deliberate, every plan calculated. Humans were efficient, precise, and relentless when defending what they held dear. A faint vibration under his feet caught his attention. The distant council ships were moving again, faster now, converging toward Kestrel's reach. They would not hesitate. They assumed humans would be weak, predictable, and slow. Elias would show them they were wrong. He looked out through the reinforced windows. The plains stretched endlessly. The grazing herd moved in patterns he had guided for decades, unaware of the battle being fought above them. Humans used their environment, their instincts, their patience. He would use all of it. Saris adjusted her position beside him. "And the people on this world?" "On Pine Mark? They're safe," Elias said. "For now, the systems I activated will shield them. They won't even know what's coming until it's too late." The first wave of council ships appeared on the sensor screens. Sleek, angular, and lethal, they moved in formation, expecting little resistance. Elias tapped a few keys, releasing signals that opened hidden launch bays across Kestrel's reach. From the ground, defensive drones lifted into the air, armed with non-lethal but immobilizing energy pulses. Humans had survived countless dangers by being clever, not just by fighting hard. The Council fleet fired first, energy beams cutting across space toward the planet. One by one, the beams were intercepted by the automated defenses, redirected or absorbed, leaving only harmless sparks against the surface. Elias watched calm as the humans' hidden force responded. Saris gasped. "They're stopping them." "They never forget," Elias said. "Humans never forget." He tapped another command. Hidden turrets along the ridge came online, scanning the sky. They did not fire immediately. Instead, they projected holographic decoys, false signals meant to confuse and mislead. The Council ships reacted, redirecting their fire toward illusions, wasting energy and exposing their own patterns. Elias continued issuing commands, each action building on the last. The human strength was not in sheer numbers. It was in foresight, strategy, and coordination. Every soldier, every device, every hidden ship had a role, and the Council had no idea what was waiting for them. Saris leaned closer. "You're controlling all of this?" Elias nodded. "All of it. Every hidden system, every old defense, every secret machine. Today we show them that humans are not what they think." The Council fleet hesitated, uncertain now. They had expected an easy target, a quiet world with a weak species. Instead, they faced an organized, precise, and relentless force that struck without warning and with deadly efficiency. Elias activated a long-range beacon, broadcasting a message across the galaxy. Humans were awake, humans were connected, and humans would no longer allow silent extinctions. The transmission went out to every nearby star system, reaching both friend and foe. The Council ships fired again, more aggressively, but the humans were ready. Hidden satellites and orbital defenses activated, intercepting beams and launching disabling pulses. Ships once dormant now moved with synchronized precision, surrounding the Council fleet and cutting off escape routes. Saris could hardly believe her eyes. "They're winning," Elias shook his head. "We're not done, we're just making them understand." He tapped a few more commands, sending ground-based drones to strategic points, preparing to intercept any soldiers who attempted to land. Humans would not attack unless necessary, but they would defend without hesitation. A council ship fired a massive energy beam toward Kestrel's reach. Elias' pulse devices redirected it, scattering the energy harmlessly across empty plains. Another ship tried to flank the human fleet in orbit, but automated human interceptors moved faster than expected, blocking every maneuver. Saris whispered, awestruck, "I've never seen anything like this. Humans, you're incredible." Elias did not respond immediately. His eyes were fixed on the screens, scanning the movements of the remaining council ships. "We've been underestimated for too long," he said finally, "and now they're going to learn why humans survive." The council ships, once confident, began to retreat. Their formation broke apart as human forces tightened around them. One by one, they vanished from the sensors, retreating into the emptiness of space. Elias exhaled slowly. The immediate threat was neutralized, but he knew it would not be the last attempt. The council would regroup, plan, and try again. But now the galaxy knew that humans were not weak, that humans were cunning and persistent, and that they would protect what mattered. He turned to Saris. "This is just the beginning," he said. "The council learned a lesson today. Other civilizations will see it too, and humans will not back down." Saris nodded slowly, understanding now what Elias had been teaching all along. Humans were not quiet settlers. They were clever, adaptable, and relentless when defending their own. Elias walked to the window and looked out over the plains. The herd moved calmly, grazing, unaware of the chaos that had just unfolded above them. The ranch looked peaceful, but it was a fortress now, a symbol of human ingenuity and resilience. He glanced at Saris. "Tomorrow," he said, "we start rebuilding not just the ranch, but the message. Humans don't hide anymore. We protect, we resist, and we remind the galaxy that we are not to be erased." She smiled faintly. "And the galaxy will remember." Elias nodded. "They will. And they'll think twice before trying the same trick again." The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the plains in shades of orange and gold. The stars emerged one by one, distant but clear. Above them, the human fleet returned to their hidden orbits, ready for any challenge. Elias turned back to the console. The underground systems hummed steadily, a reminder that humans had more to offer than anyone had imagined. Every hidden turret, every sensor, every dormant ship was part of a network that could respond in an instant. Sarah stood beside him, looking at the screens. "I thought humans were small, weak, insignificant," she said softly. Elias shook his head. "We pretend to be small, that's how we survive, but when we are pushed, when our people are threatened, we rise. And no one, not even the council, can ignore us." The night settled over Kestrel's reach. The wind whispered through the grass, carrying the faint sound of distant life. The world seemed peaceful, but it was ready. The humans who had once hidden beneath the surface had awakened, and their presence would be felt across the stars. Elias looked at Saris. "You should rest," he said. "You've seen what happens when humans refuse to be erased." She nodded. "And I've learned what it means to survive." He smiled faintly. "That's humanity. We endure, we protect, and when necessary we strike in ways no one expects." The lights of the underground chamber pulsed softly, a heartbeat beneath the world. Above, the plains were calm, the herd grazing. In the sky, distant stars glimmered like silent witnesses. Elias Holt, rancher and warden, stood ready. Humans would no longer hide. They would protect, resist, and remind the galaxy of their strength. And the galaxy would never forget. The wind swept across Kestrel's reach, carrying dust, grass, and the quiet hum of machines that had awakened after centuries. The world was small, but humans had shown that even a small world could hold a power strong enough to shape the stars. Elias turned back to the console, preparing the next set of instructions. The council had learned their lesson, but the galaxy had only just begun to understand the humans who would not be erased. Tomorrow, the battle would continue in other forms. But today, humanity had reminded everyone who underestimated them that they were clever, relentless, and impossible to ignore. Saris watched him, awe in her eyes. "You are extraordinary," she said. Elias smiled. "No," he said. "Humans are, I'm just one of them." The stars above Kestrel's reach sparkled as if acknowledging the truth. Humans were awake, and the galaxy would remember. The night was quiet, the ranch was calm, and the universe, for the first time in a long time, knew that humanity would not be erased. Elias Holt returned to the console, hands steady, mind sharp. The galaxy had learned one thing: humans were not to be underestimated. They endured, they protected, and they always found a way.